your nervous system is one of the main pillars in hacking relaxed manifestation, actually becoming and consistently being the kind of woman that you want to be, where you get to respond to life instead of just reacting to life. Welcome back to the podcast, Beautiful Human. I am Stormy, your host, and today I want to give you the embodied woman's guide to the nervous system. One of the main pillars, the main factors in embodiment and becoming an embodied woman is the nervous system. The nervous system is like the control board, the command center. It's like the headquarters of your body, of the way that you experience life, and then therefore the way that you create your reality as well. So much of the time, people end up blaming and outsourcing responsibility to the universe or to God or to source or just to other people for why a situation is the way that it is. When in reality, so much of the time, it's actually your own nervous system and your own window of tolerance that has created that reality. So your nervous system is one of the main pillars in hacking relaxed manifestation, actually becoming and consistently being the kind of woman that you want to be, where you get to respond to life instead of just reacting to life. And you feel in power, you feel in control of your choices and who you choose to be and the actions that you take, instead of feeling victimized by your past and your traumas and your mind and overthinking and your ego. So without further ado, let me give you the embodied woman's guide to the nervous system. So let's start with actually understanding, what is the nervous system? What's her job? What does she do? The nervous system is responsible for sending messages from the body to the brain and throughout the body, in simple terms. And here's something that a lot of people don't understand. If you can hear me in this and understand this, is such a game changer from this typical narrative of mindset is everything. Limiting beliefs, rewire your brain, go deep into your subconscious. And then there's this transition that I myself have taken, I see women taking, I listen to other women's stories, that I see this movement of women really coming home to our innate feminine power, is moving so heavily from the mind back into the body. Here's the information I want to give you on this. 80% of the information that moves through your internal world goes from body to brain. 20% goes from brain to body. On average, 80% of the time, it is actually your body telling your brain, not your mind telling your body, only 20% of the time. And so if you're only focusing on, like, what am I thinking and what are my beliefs and what am I focusing on, you're essentially leaving 80% of what's available to you on the table and only actually going 20% of the way. Can you imagine a reality right now where you start to really focus on coming into your body, working with your nervous system, being an embodied woman, and 80% more possibility and expansion and opportunity opens up? 80% more. Crazy. Understanding that the nervous system is responsible for messages that get sent. What you also need to understand about your nervous system is that there are many different branches of your nervous system. For example, you've got the central nervous system, which is your spinal cord and your brain. So this is where the mind comes in. When you take a somatic embodiment approach to, I wouldn't just say healing, I would say living. Like, it's not about just doing the work and healing. It's how you're choosing to live and who you're choosing to be. And so when you do take an embodiment somatic approach, your brain is part of that. And there's no longer this divide between mindset and, physical embodiment. It's like, no, babe, like, they're intertwined. They're actually so connected. Your brain is part of your central nervous system. So the purpose of your nervous system is to keep you alive, to protect you, to ensure that you are surviving. And okay, for one, that's really fucking wonderful. Like, a moment, shout out to this inbuilt mechanism that you have in your body to keep you alive, to protect you. to ensure that you see another day. That's a wonderful thing. And the problem that can come with that is that you need to understand that this system of yours is not designed to be happy. You're not designed to thrive. You're not designed to expand and grow and evolve. You're designed to stay safe. And times have changed a lot, but our systems, our nervous systems, our brains are still the same as the first humans. They're still the same. And yet our environment and the pace and the requirements of being a human, what it actually takes to live in this world and survive in this world, have changed a lot. We have a lot more comforts, we have a lot more ease. And speaking to the Western world at least, because I am privileged enough to understand that this is not the case all around the world. That's a different conversation. But modern day survival mode is where we have this system inside of us designed to just keep you surviving, designed to protect you. And so because we have so much ease and comfort and convenience, where so much is at our fingertips, your nervous system adapts, your brain adapts, and it starts seeing threats in places that never used to be a threat. For example, your phone can become a threat. Traffic can become a threat. Your boss can be a threat. Your parents, your family can be a threat. The idea of dating and putting yourself out there and facing rejection can be a threat. So firstly, that's such a good distinction to actually understand about your body and like how dated our internal processing systems are. They go back, they date when you had to forage for food, otherwise you went hungry. You had to find shelter, otherwise you were open and a threat of the elements, where you had to be aware of animals in the environment, otherwise you could have been prey. That's actually what your body is designed and your brain is designed to protect you from and to survive with them. Whereas now you wake up and you scroll on your phone, and before you've even fully woken up and come to and you're alert, you're consuming and letting like 100 people into your bedroom through your phone. And because that's your normal, your nervous system adapts to that. And all of a sudden social media becomes a threat, and all those other things that I said before. So until you actually start to work with your nervous system, it will dictate the life that you live, the reality that you create, because it will always choose a familiar, quote unquote, hell over an unfamiliar heaven, meaning it will keep you where it's familiar because it associates familiar with safe. Your brain and your nervous system associates familiar with safe, even when you do not like or you are not happy with your familiar, with your environment, with your relationship, with your job, with your money situation. Even if you don't like it, you don't want it, even if it actually in so many ways doesn't feel safe, even if it brings anxiety and stress, even if there's actually threats in it, the familiarity of it is unconsciously linked to safety. And that's why we'll end up playing out patterns where you step back and you're like, why the fuck do I do this? Why am I still here? Why do I say that I'm going to make that change, that I'm going to break up with that person or stop hanging out with those friends, or say I'm going to start meditating, or I say I'm going to start running the gym, but I don't? Why do I keep doing that? Because you are unconsciously choosing familiar, quote unquote, safety versus the unfamiliar opportunity and blessings that would come from actually changing. Because your nervous system associates the unfamiliar of evolving, of manifesting your desires, of things actually being really fucking good, with being threat, which is so laughable in so many ways. And we do need to laugh about it sometimes because it makes it easier. It makes the journey easier when you can laugh at it, when you can recognize like, okay, I don't need to get really, really frustrated or judge myself for this, for why I'm sabotaging or why I'm plateauing, why I'm anxious or why I'm stressed. Let me bring language to this and actually bring it back to my nervous system. bring it back to safety and work with it instead of against it. So the Embodied Woman's Guide to the Nervous System is really about understanding your inherent, innate need for safety. Now, no matter what, you will unconsciously seek safety, but, and this is the but, this is where you get to really, really change your reality for the better. When it goes unchecked, when you're not aware of it, you will seek safety in places, in people, in situations, in habits that often don't serve you, and they're external. You will seek safety externally and outsource it. For example, you feel safe in the job that you have, even though it's mundane or it's boring you or it's not actually paying you as much as what you deserve or what you want, even though you actually want to change careers or you actually want to start your business, there's a certain level of security that you feel, the familiarity of it, in knowing that you have X amount of money coming in every week or fortnight. And so you choose it and you stay there instead of deepening into courage, putting yourself out there, going all in on the business or on the career change. Because no matter how much you want it, your system is saying, no, it's a threat, must protect, must protect. So it's very easy to outsource your safety, for example, to a job or to a certain status quo within work. And what happens, let's play out for example, what happens when you do try and buckle down and make that change, make a transition. Let's just keep rolling with this example of moving from working for someone else in a job that you don't particularly love to starting your own business. Let's say that you really force yourself into it because you want to do it, right? And there's resistance that comes up with it. There's fears, there's self-doubt, there's some anxiety, but you're like, no, I'm going all in and I'm doing it. When you haven't worked with your nervous system, when you're not actually embodied, what can happen in that is that you end up, for example, going into fight mode, where the way that you approach creating and manifesting that business that gets to support you to wake up when you want, to do work you actually really love, to have the freedom, the financial ability to live life the way that you actually want to, to go out for lunches in the middle of the day just because, or to travel instead of being stuck behind four walls and within four walls behind a desk, is that it's very easy to go into fight mode where it's like, go, 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 hustle. You know what I mean? Make it happen, where you can start to really exhaust yourself and burn yourself out, making it happen. Or you're always in a rush, you're always in a hurry. Your to-do list is driving your behaviors where it feels like there's a million and one things to do and there's overwhelm within that. And it's never quite enough. And there's always more to do. And you end up neglecting, forgetting about your health, maybe forgetting to feed yourself, maybe forgetting to drink enough water, feeling like there's not enough time in the day to exercise and meditate or do things that you actually love doing because it's like, no, I need to make this happen. And you end up in fight mode. Now, if that happens, you'll find that it's not sustainable for a super long time. And you'll eventually reach the point where you tap out, where it's too much. Your body says, it's too much. I need to move from this sympathetic state, because fight mode, fight or flight, is when the sympathetic branch of the nervous system is activated. And the sympathetic branch of your nervous system is like gearing up to take action, either lean in and fight or run away. But either way, there's action required in that. So it's like energy rising up. It's really upregulating. And it will reach a point where it's just so not sustainable anymore. And you're just depleted, tapped out. And when that point comes, a number of things can happen. A really fucking common one is you get sick. Your body basically says, okay, I tried giving you warning signs. You didn't listen to me. I cannot keep going in this state. I'm not designed to do this. To bring you out of that sympathetic state back into a parasympathetic state, which is the branch of the nervous system where you downregulate, where you come into rest and digest, is I am going to get you sick so that you physically cannot keep going and you need to stop. So like I said, the parasympathetic state is rest and digest, slowing down, taking less action, coming back into more of a state of like neutrality and homeostasis. But this is what I really want you to hear me in. But there's actually different branches of the parasympathetic. You've got rest and digest, which is genuinely calm and peaceful and present. You're in tune with yourself. You're nourished. You feel in control of the choices that you're making. There's no rush. You're just here. You're relaxed. And then there's dorsal vagal shutdown inside the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system. When your body goes into dorsal vagal shutdown, this is freeze mode. And this is often actually what happens when you've been in fight mode. And it's like, no, I can't keep going anymore. I'm going to shut you down. It's often not that you shut down into a state of complete bliss. No, it's often that you shut down into a state of freeze, functional freeze, often, where you're still going about your things. You're still living your life, but it's like you're on autopilot. There's a level of numbness where you don't feel the aliveness behind what you're doing. It feels monotonous, or it feels really fucking hard, or it feels really overwhelming. And common things that you'll experience in that is that you spend a lot of time scrolling on your phone to distract you instead of actually like living and going and doing things and experiencing life. You experience it through a screen. Your capacity for problems, for emotions, for life is so much smaller when you're in a freeze state. And that functional freeze state too is, you know what you should be doing. You know what you want to be doing. But for some reason, you just can't make yourself do it. You sabotage. Self-sabotage is a byproduct of being dysregulated and stuck in this dorsal vagal shutdown state where your system is in freeze mode. And oftentimes, like I said, it's not like, don't picture yourself just literally like lying on the ground frozen. No, functional freeze means that you can be living your life, talking to people, going about the day, but you're not really fully there. You're not really feeling it. You're on autopilot. So that's freeze. And then you might find something happens that restarts you, that triggers you back into taking action. And then you pendulate back into fight mode. And a lot of people experience life through the lens of just like swinging, pendulating between the different fear responses of having a dysregulated nervous system. And the reason why a lot of people need some kind of substance socially, like wine, like alcohol in general, like nicotine from vaping or smoking, is because that substance actually regulates your nervous system back into that parasympathetic state. Because when you don't know how to do it yourself, when you don't have the resources to actually regulate your own nervous system and your own emotions, like I said, for one, there comes a point where it's like, I can't handle this anymore. And that's when you will reach and you'll outsource something, anything, to try and create that for yourself. And a lot of the time that's unconscious. So I just gave you the example of substances, but social media is one of the biggest ones where you will distract yourself, or you'll try and change your state through scrolling, through watching other people's days and lives, through living vicariously through them, laughing, watching stuff that makes you feel good, just distracting yourself, getting dopamine. Your phone is a big one. Sex and relationships that aren't really serving you, but it feels good to have that person by your side, or it feels good to have that pleasure, or it feels good to have the validation of being wanted, of being chosen, of having that intimacy. That's also a really common example of not resourcing yourself, your safety internally, and outsourcing it because you don't know any better. You don't know how to do it yourself. So there's two other fear responses, survival responses, that I haven't spoken to yet properly. And like I said, you can often pendulate between a lot of these and just call it life. So you've got the fight response, you've got the freeze response. Coming back into the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, you also have flight, where it's like, I need to run away. I'm not here for this. I don't want to deal with this. I need to bolt, or I need to ghost them. If you're dating, this can look like literally ghosting someone where it just gets too much, or you're uncomfortable, or you don't want to deal with it anymore and you just ghost them. Instead of communicating, you ghost. If you're in a relationship, if you have a partner and you're having a hard conversation, it can look like fleeing, like literally, like, I can't deal with this, and walking out and not tolerating the conversation and getting away from them. If you are in business or you're wanting to be in business and you meet a challenge, you meet an obstacle where it's hard, where it's overwhelming, instead of showing up and doing something about it, learning, making changes, you get distracted and busy by life. And all of a sudden, a few weeks go by and you're like, well, I haven't really been showing up. I haven't really been doing anything, have I? Or you're not getting the validation you want from social media. And so you just ghost and you don't post for a while. You don't show up for a while. And within that, it's very much this sense of like, I need to protect myself from, for example, the rejection, failure, from being seen in a way that I don't want to be seen, from having to face something I don't want to face. So I'm just going to run away from it. I'm going to lean back from it. Often this can also be with yourself. It's emotions, for example. Flight mode can really come out when it's like, I don't want to feel this sadness that is bubbling up. I don't want to feel this frustration or this anger that's coming up. And so you actually distract yourself and run away from your own emotions. That's also really common. The last fear response, survival response that your nervous system can put you in is fawn. And this is often missed. This is one of those things that I'm like, why are more people not talking about this? It's always like fight or flight, just the fight or flight. I'm like, there's two more dudes. Like, these are just as important. The fawn response is essentially, if I be really good, if I be really nice, if I be loving and kind and likable, then I'll be safe. They won't get mad at me. They won't hurt me. I won't have to face shitty consequences. I won't be abandoned. I won't be rejected if I'm just likable enough. So you avoid saying things that could piss them off, ruffling feathers, being controversial, being judged. This response is people pleasing, where you put your needs, your desires, your authenticity to the back burner for the sake of approval, fitting in, not being judged. And this is essentially where you really adapt to your circumstances and you can be a fucking chameleon. You are the master chameleon. Who do I need to be with these people? Who do I need to be in this environment? Even on social media, who do I need to be liked on social media? If you have business, who do I need to be to get clients? Instead of staying true to what is authentic to you, you mold and adapt yourself. And it's actually rooted in fear and in survival, where you're outsourcing your safety to the facade of approval and peace externally, instead of staying true to what's actually authentic to you. So people pleasing is not a personality trait. It's also just a sign of having a dysregulated nervous system where you don't actually feel safe to be yourself. You don't actually feel safe within your own being. So you resort to essentially, and this is probably going to humble the ego a little bit if you can relate to this, people pleasing is actually a form of manipulation. You're trying to manipulate the situation to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. So I hope that you have a much better, clearer understanding of the nervous system, the different branches of it, and the way that when activated, your consciousness kind of goes out the window a little bit, and you instead fall into these different survival responses of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, because this inherent need for safety is unconsciously, sometimes even consciously, being met through this different response. For example, fighting to try and get what you want and keep your head above water, or fawning to try and be likable enough because you're associating your safety to that. And something that I've experienced and something that I work with women on, and something that I see a lot, is that you can have the best intentions of trying to really intentionally create the life that you want, manifest what you desire, but you end up going about it in a dysregulated state, pendulating between fighting, make it happen, freezing because it's overwhelming, fawning, please like me, please pick me, please choose me, fleeing because it's all just too much and too hard, and just moving between them all. And it's fucking exhausting to do that. And it's also missing the point. It's missing the point because When you stop focusing on trying to get external circumstances or trying to make what you want happen, trying to manifest specific desires, and instead come back to what you're actually embodied in, like the woman that you're being, your experience here in the present moment, which you can only do through working with the nervous system. The external becomes a byproduct. And it becomes like icing on the cake. But who you actually get to experience yourself being so fucking fulfilling and freeing and so yummy and so nourishing that you get to fall asleep at night actually proud of the human that you are, where you've fallen in love with who you are. And from that state, you get to also love the life that you live, where it's not dependent upon specific outcomes, where you don't feel so attached. I need it like this. And I, don't want that to happen, because you're actually fucking empowered in your own self, because you feel safe in your own being. And from that self-sourced safety, you can experience all emotions, because you're an alchemist. You're no longer a perfectionist, because you know that anything you experience is here for you. It's here to serve you. It's a lesson or it's a blessing. It's all fuel for your growth and evolution. And because you trust in life, what happens is that when you do move through life in this modern day survival mode, where you're lacking in, true safety in your system, and so you're outsourcing it externally, is that you aren't trusting life. You aren't surrendered to life. You don't actually trust that life gets to be good and gets to continue to be better. And so you either accept things for the way they are, just is what it is, or you put a lot of energy and you try really hard to make things better. But the piece that's missing in that is really actually like leaning back and co-creating with life, trusting in life, surrendering, letting yourself be provided for. The only way to actually really do so, to be able to surrender, to enjoy life more, open arms, open heart, open mind, is through safety in your body. You can't surrender without safety. Safety is the key to surrendering. Safety is the key to relaxed manifestation. Instead of trying to micromanage or manipulate like exactly what you want and trying to avoid what you don't want, it needs to be like this. It's like a byproduct of who you are being and how you are living in the safety that you feel within your own being. And the only way you do that is through working with the nervous system. So, pulse check for you, because I feel like I just gave you a lot of information. Just take a pause and just digest what this has really illuminated within you. Perhaps you can see certain ways that you are playing out patterns of dysregulation. Perhaps you can see with a specific desire that you have right now in your life where you've been showing up in a state of survival mode, of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And firstly, languaging that, like putting language to that, can be really helpful, because it's like, okay, instead of just getting mad at myself for why I'm doing this or why this is happening, it's like, I can see that I clearly don't feel safe and I'm in a fawn response. Cool. What am I going to do about that now? What do I need in order to self-source safety instead of trying to outsource it, to come back into myself? So that's one of the key pieces. And something that I say to the students, to the women inside Embodied, my school of self-love and feminine embodiment, where I teach this in depth, is that it's not like you nail this and you're good. Never again will you struggle with anxiety or getting triggered, going into a fear response. Like, that's such perfectionist bullshit. It's not true. Of course, as you go and evolve, right? Think of it this way. Every single time you push your edges, where you push the edge of what's known and what's unknown, what's familiar and what's unfamiliar, what's comfortable and what's uncomfortable, every single time you do that, you need to bring your body along with you. You need code safety into your system in order to be able to do so and enjoy the journey, because that's the whole point too. There's no point if you're not actually like really open and present to the journey of it. Because once you reach the finish line, what's next? There's another finish line. The satisfaction lasts for like a minute or two, and then it's like, oh, I need more. Okay, not good enough. But that didn't actually feel as good as what I thought it would feel. What's next? Versus working with your nervous system, really being devoted to being an embodied woman, self-sourcing instead of outsourcing. And all of a sudden, every step that you take, you actually get to be really present in the journey. Present for the yummy, the nourishing, the quote unquote good, where it feels really fucking good. And that's literally why you're alive right there. That is you living your purpose right there. And also present for the hard and the challenging, because there's also so much available for you in those moments. And when you're an embodied woman, you know that. You're not just here and open for the, the easy and the good. You're here for all of it. You're here for the ebbs as much as the flows. And that is actually really being open to life. That's being empowered, not just feeling powerful or feeling good when things are easy and things are good and going your way, because like anyone can do that. Of course, true level of empowerment, and if you're listening to this, is clearly the path that you're on, is being empowered throughout all seasons of life, all kinds of days. And the only way to do that is from being really in tune with your body and having this kind of emotional intelligence and regulation. So I hope that this has inspired you. I hope that you've learned a thing or two. I hope that you can have a little bit of clarity about the path forward. And if you want to take the next step, and if you actually want to have support in doing this and putting this into practice, and also learning a lot more, but in a real sense way, like bringing it back into your current reality, into your present moment, not just learning from the mind, but actually learning from the body, then Embodied is the place for you to do so. So Embodied is the self-love and feminine embodiment school. It's guiding you through a process continually where you get to really come into your body, where you learn how to really deepen your emotional intelligence, to alchemize triggers, to create safety again and again and again, deepening that muscle, deepening that skill, becoming so much more at peace and at home within your own body, where you don't need to be such a perfectionist and you actually get to be a fucking alchemist and experience the empowerment that comes with that. So the process that I guide you through inside of Embodied moves you from your root chakra, the root energy center, up to the crown. And the first energy center, the first portal, is literally all about safety. The root chakra, all about safety. It governs your sense of safety and survival. And in order to thrive, in order to access and embody creator mode, where you're consciously creating a reality, you need to have this foundation of safety. So I teach you how to actually do so real time outside of the program, because there's no point just learning something inside of a program and then you finish and you walk away. It's like, well, now I'm just back to how things were before. No, fuck that. We're getting off this healing hamster wheel where I teach you how to do these practices and regulate your nervous system, yourself, forevermore. Where like 20, 30 years from now, you will still be doing what I teach you. You'll still be implementing it. And this is one of the things that the women who've already been through it have said again and again. This differs from other courses they've done, because it's like they just did it and they had a good time while they're in the program, and then things kind of just went back to the way they were once they finished. Whereas from Embodied, they're like, I'm actually embodied in it. I've actually changed. Like, I'm actually a different human from what you've taught me inside of Embodied. For example, there are a number, like over 10 different nervous system regulation techniques that I teach you, that I give you, that I guide you through inside of Embodied. And it is at your fingertips right now, pre-recorded, self-paced, that you can come back to again and again and again and again. So you want to know more about Embodied, and if you would love to apply, you can head to the link in the show notes and do so there. On your call with me, on your discovery call, once you've applied, let me know that you've come from the podcast, and I will give you a special podcast offer as well, just because I want to love you and really see you as a part of this Embodied podcast community. So that's it from me for this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll connect with you on the next episode, my love.